Hello and welcome to the channel. Today, we're diving into some major, and quite sudden, shifts in the United Kingdom's immigration policy that are sending ripples across the globe. On September 3, 2025, The Guardian newspaper reported on two significant developments that affect some of the most vulnerable people seeking a new life in the UK, as well as the international students who form a vital part of its economy and culture. First, a sudden halt to the Refugee family reunion scheme has shattered the hopes of many, including those who have fled conflict, leaving loved ones behind. Second, a new analysis warns that an ongoing government crackdown on international students could seriously harm the economies of several UK cities. What's really going on here? Are these policies connected? In this video, we'll break down what these changes are, explore the official rules from the UK Home Office, and look at the real-world impact on people's lives. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most immediate and arguably most heart-wrenching news. The Guardian reported on a story that puts a human face to a sudden policy change. An Afghan man, who sought asylum in the UK, described how the hope of being reunited with his wife was what kept him going. That hope was shattered by an announcement from the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, on September 1, 2025. So, what exactly happened? The government announced a temporary suspension of all new applications under the dedicated Refugee family reunion route. This is the legal pathway that allows individuals who have been granted refugee status or humanitarian protection in the UK to bring their immediate family members, specifically, a partner or children under 18 who were part of the family before they fled, to join them. To understand the gravity of this, you need to know what this scheme represented. Under the previous rules, this process was a lifeline. It was free of charge, and importantly, the refugee in the UK did not need to meet a minimum income requirement to sponsor their family. This acknowledged the reality that people fleeing persecution often arrive with nothing and need time to rebuild their lives. The policy was designed to reunite families fragmented by war and conflict. The government's justification for this sudden pause is multifaceted. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper stated that the way the rules are being used has changed. She pointed out that before the pandemic, refugees would typically apply for family reunion 1 or 2 years after being granted protection, giving them time to find work and housing. Now, applications are reportedly coming in within a month on average, often before the refugee has even left asylum accommodation. The government argues this is putting unsustainable pressure on local authorities, with some councils reporting that over a quarter of their family homelessness applications are linked to refugee family reunion. Another argument is one of fairness. The government claims it's unfair that refugees have no conditions for family reunion, while British citizens face strict income requirements to bring a foreign spouse to the UK. They also suggest that smuggling gangs are using the promise of family reunion to encourage dangerous channel crossings. Until a new system is designed, which is planned for spring 2026, refugees wanting to bring family members must now use the standard family visa rules. This means they will likely have to meet the same stringent financial, accommodation, and English language requirements as any other UK resident, a nearly impossible bar for most newly recognized refugees. For the Afghan man in the Guardian story, and thousands like him, this isn't about statistics or fairness arguments. It's about a promise of safety and family that has been abruptly withdrawn, leaving them in a painful limbo. Now let's shift our focus to another group deeply affected by new immigration policies: international students. The same edition of The Guardian highlights a warning from a think tank. The government's crackdown on overseas students could severely damage the economies of struggling UK cities. The university sector, which relies on international students for a staggering quarter of its income, is described as a key driver of economic activity in cities like Leicester and Hull. So, what does this crackdown actually involve? It's not one single policy, but a series of changes announced and implemented throughout 2024 and 2025, all aimed at reducing net migration. Here are the main points. Restrictions on dependents. Since January 2024, the rules have been tightened dramatically. Now, only international students on specific postgraduate research programs, like PhDs, or those on government-funded scholarships can bring their partners and children with them. This was a huge change, as previously most postgraduate students could bring dependents. The government is even considering closing a perceived loophole for research master's degrees. Reduced post-study work visa. The popular graduate route visa, which allows international graduates to stay and work in the UK for a period after their studies, has been shortened. For bachelor's and master's graduates, it's being cut from 2 years down to 18 months. This makes the UK less competitive compared to countries offering longer post-study work opportunities. Increased financial and language requirements. The amount of money students must prove they have for living expenses has been increased. As of early 2025, a student in London needs to show funds of £13,347, up from previous amounts. English language standards have also been heightened for some visa categories and for dependents. Tougher university compliance. The government is making it harder for universities to maintain their license to sponsor international students. They must now meet stricter thresholds for enrollment and course completion rates. The government's goal is to cut net migration numbers. However, the economic impact of these students is immense. A report published by Universities UK revealed that the 2021-22 intake of international students was projected to contribute a massive £41.9 billion to the UK economy. After accounting for the costs of public services, the net benefit is still a huge £37.4 billion. This economic benefit is spread across the entire country. On average, each parliamentary constituency is £58 million better off thanks to international students. This money comes from tuition fees, accommodation, and spending in local shops, restaurants, and services. For cities like Leicester and Hull, which may not have the booming financial sectors of London, the university and its international student body are central to their local economy. The think tank's warning is clear. By making the UK a less attractive destination, these policies risk not just harming the university sector's finances, but also causing real economic pain in communities that can least afford it. So, when we look at these two stories together, the halt on refugee family reunion and the squeeze on international students, a broader picture emerges. Both policies are being driven by the government's overarching goal to reduce net migration figures, a key political issue in the UK. The Home Office's statements reveal a focus on sustainability and fairness, arguing that public services are strained and that immigration rules should be applied more consistently. The May 2025 Immigration White Paper laid the groundwork for many of these changes, signaling a clear intention to tighten controls across different visa routes. However, critics argue that these policies are short-sighted and driven by politics rather than a balanced assessment of their human and economic consequences. For refugees, the right to family life is a fundamental human right, enshrined in Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights. Charities like the British Red Cross have long provided guidance for this crucial pathway, which is now blocked. Halting the dedicated route forces vulnerable people into a far more complex and expensive system they are ill-equipped to navigate. For students, the economic argument is powerful. The government's own international education strategy had a target to increase education exports to £35 billion per year by 2030, a goal that seems undermined by these new restrictive policies. While the government wants to attract the brightest and the best, the combination of higher costs, shorter post-study work options, and restrictions on families may deter exactly that top-tier talent. Ultimately, these two developments highlight a fundamental tension in UK policy: the political desire to lower immigration numbers versus the country's humanitarian obligations and its economic need for international talent and revenue. The stories from September 3, 2025, are more than just headlines. They represent a crossroads for the UK. The decisions made now will define the country's reputation on the world stage, as either an open, welcoming nation or a closed one. They will have a profound impact on families torn apart by conflict and on the future of Britain's world-class universities and the cities they support. What are your thoughts on this? Is the government right to prioritize cutting migration figures? Or are these policies causing more harm than good? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content.